Spears Fire Operational Update, Saturday, July 27th.
Good morning, folks. Mike Bertinoli, Planning Operations for Great Basin Team 3, here on the Spears Fire. I'm going to give you an operational update for today, July 27th, 2024. So let's start going around the fire. At this point in time, everything's looking good. I've given several of these updates now, and what we're seeing is continued containment on the fire, feeling very good around it. And again, that's indicated by the black that you see as you go around the fire. And that just says we are confident that our fire is not going to escape those lines, barring unforeseen circumstances. So we're continuing to develop that line, starting here on the northern side of our fire in Division Alpha Fox. That's changed a little bit. We combined the northern and the eastern side of the division into one chunk of ground now. So on that piece of ground, developing black line out to the east, continuing to just get in and mop up and stir and make sure we're not going to have any issues there. And those operations are going to continue for the next several days, right? So working over to the east, Zulu, the same thing. That entire chunk of ground is black line now. So feeling great about that. And those operations continue as well. When we get to this point in the fire, not a lot of changes other than the fact that we're still diligently out there continuing to move into the black just to make sure that this fire won't jump out on us. So that's pretty much where the fire's at. Feeling good about it. Our team still has a few days on here before we transition to another organization that'll watch it for the long term. So we'll continue that. One thing I will highlight today, and I've briefed on this several times, is the contingency operations that are going on south of the fire in the Greens Draw corridor. And I mentioned this a few times. We're building essentially a fire line south of the fire, and the intent there, if our fire were to jump out, it gives firefighters a real defined place to defensively hold the fire. But I want to talk today just briefly about what that looks like. So what we have is a series of meadows that run northeast along this corridor that transitions into dense, heavily forested areas that run out towards what we call the Davenport Draw. And so in those densely forested areas, what we want to do is cut a swath of line. And right now we're targeting about 100 feet wide. So when you say a line, we're talking a big, wide line. So what that looks like, if I could paint a picture in your head, is to say that we have roughly 8 or 9 pieces of equipment out there. In the front of that equipment is what's called a feller buncher. And that's a big device that reaches up, grabs a tree, and cuts it off. And it just stacks it on the ground. Behind that, you have what's called a log loader or a skidder that comes up and grabs a tree and drags it around to where you want it. And what we're doing is constructing piles along this side of the line, the south side of the line, so that firefighters, should they need to, can put fire on the ground and burn up all the fuels in between the main fire and where they're working off of. So you have residual trees and piles left on the south side of the line, but what you do there is you come in the winter and burn that off. So just to capture, big machines in front that cut the trees, and you've got skidders and log loaders that come along behind it and stack that debris up and pile it, so that further down the road, when there's 3 feet of snow there, we can come through and take care of that debris. So just end state, a big giant line that gives firefighters a place to work from. And I'll kind of leave it there. Have a great day. Thank you.